It's coming. It should be there. Hopefully, if not today, by tomorrow at the latest. So let's do it God's serve other gods which thou or thy fathers have known. This is what God is saying to us. Thou or thy fathers have known. Have known. captivity because we don't know who we are or whose we are. Hey, Sister Janice. And so now what I'm telling us to do is to understand that we have a standard, and that standard is that of a nation, not of just anybody that's just here. We are here because God brought us here to serve, to worship him. But shall be sold unto your enemy. I don't think you understand this thing. And so we're trying to make friends. I mean, it's so sad until we're married. nations. So this is what God says. My anger is kindled because that this people have transgressed my covenant. We have moved beyond the standard that God gave us, or we have went way out of the way. And some of the things that we do is we offer to Molech. Our men are sodomites. Our women practice Gomorrah. And not only do we do that, but we unalive each other. We hate each other. We covet each other. We're malice towards each other. We're backbiting. We're untrustworthy. These are the things that we do to one another. We got to get better, y'all. We got to get better as a nation. That nation is Israel. And listen to what God says over here in Deuteronomy. They have transgressed my covenant. I commanded their fathers and have not hearkened unto my voice. What is the voice? The voice of our God. The voice of our God is his standards. And he says that through them I may prove Israel. So when we keep the standards of God, we prove Israel. We prove who God really is because of the direct connection. When we keep the standards of God, we prove the direct connection. That's what we do. When we don't keep the standards of God, what we're doing is we're still proving it. Because listen to this. Listen to what he says. He says that I will. He says, I will also henceforth drive. I will not henceforth drive out any of the nations, but from before them, the nations which Joshua had died and left. When he died, he left. That through them I may prove Israel, whether they keep the way of the Lord or not. So either we're going to keep the way of the Lord and be prosperous, or we're not going to keep the way of the Lord, and be oppressed. And the thing about who us, Israel, is there is no middle ground. We don't get to saddle the fence. We don't get to ride in between. We're either going to be hot or cold. We're either going to do what God says for us to do, and that is to hold his holy covenant, keep his standards, or not. Either way, we are being proved as who we are. No other nation has dealt with what we've dealt with. No one can say that, yep, we were slaves on ships. No one can say that we were bondmen in a foreign land. No one can say any of these things, can boast these things except Israel. And I'm not talking about a religion, because that, my friend, is really, I'm going to say it, what has really messed Israel up. Because we think that religion is the objective of heaven. Because the foreign gods that they worshiped, they were always trying to get to another place. And so they gave us heaven in the sky, a city in the sky. That's what they gave us, where the Bible explicitly says, thy kingdom come on earth, thy kingdom come on earth. And we learned this at a young age, but because of our minds have been so manipulated until we can say these things and not even realize what they're saying or what we're saying, because we have been bamboozled to believe that religion is our savior. That's what we believed. And if that's the case, Hindus are their savior. Christians or any form of Christianity is your savior. Everybody has their own. But there is only one Lord, one faith, one baptism. It's not many. How you doing, Blue Boy? There is not, it's only one. And that nation, this is what God says, that in the sight of other nations. So that lets me know that Israel was the nation that God chose to prove who he really is. That was the nation that he chose to do that through. And this is what he says, not that you were just great and mighty. He says that, not that you were more, that you were special. He says, as a matter of fact, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord, for the Lord hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all the people that are upon the face of the earth. Upon everybody else, God chose you. Out of everybody else he could have chose, he chose you. And the thing about it, him choosing you, whether you do it or don't do it, you are still a part of him. And it proves it. It proves it. No other people can boast what happened to us. but us. Nobody. And I use the word boast because that proves who we are. Now that we know who we are, what are we going to do about it? Now that everybody is waking up and understanding that yeah, we are Israel. Now what? And I'm not talking about Israel from a religious place. That is a very fine line. And the reason that line is so fine is because they took the standards that God gave to Israel, turned them into a religion, and gave them back to us in Christianity. Y'all understand this thing? And I'm going to throw this in there. Even the way we go to church and we dance at service, all of those are new moon dances. That's what they are. But we'll get into that later. But as we're moving, we must understand that Israel is a nation that belongs to the Lord. And we have a standard of living that God gave to the nation. He says that the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any other people. For you were the fewest of all the people, but because the Lord loved you. What group of people does the Bible say that about other than us? God specifically chose Israel, and he did not change his mind. He has not changed his mind. You are a nation. And what we've done is we've allowed these people to trick us into believing that we don't have to do it God's way. We can do it any old kind of way and still be and just be a people. But we are the misfits. We don't fit with nobody. We don't do it like they do it. We try to do what they do. Did you know the Bible told us don't put no markings on our bodies, that whoredom should not be named among us, that we should not offer our children to Molech, that's abortion, that sodomy should not be named among us, that no poor. He says that none of us should even be broke because he gave us a national tax to ensure that we're not broke. But what we've done is we turned that national tax into religion and said pay your tithes to this local church. Well, what does the local church do with your tithes? Pay light, water, and gas, pay the pastor a salary and some musicians, and leave you broke, poor, disgusted, dismantled, sick. Because we don't keep the holidays. Well, the second holy day that God gave us was for your healing. The second holy day God gave us was for your healing. There you go, no pork, no lobster, no crab. Do you know if just black people, Judah, Israel, stop eating crabs and shrimp, if we just stop doing just that, do you know how many people could be saved? Leave the catfish alone. Leave the pig alone. Leave the crabs and the shrimp alone, and the oysters, all of that. If we just did that and honor the holy days, Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread is for the healing of the nation. And see, because when they come into this new year on their calendar, the church is going to tell you to go on a 21-day Daniel fast. You understand that? But that's not biblical because God told us to do a 7-day Feast of Unleavened Bread for the healing of the nation. That was for your healing. You got to hear me with your spirit. But what we've done is we've allowed them to make us believe that we can get it another way, but you can't. You can't. Listen to what he says here and he says that whether we do it or not, therefore the Lord left those nations that without driving them out hastily, neither delivered them into the land, neither he delivered them into the hand of Joshua. So what that means is that we settled to just be with these people, and we started taking on their principles, just like we do now. It's hard for some people to understand Halloween is not ours. You don't know that you were given that by your enemy as a mockery? That's a mockery. Hallow evil. You know what that means? Honor evil. Where did that come from? You were given that as a mockery. And do you know what the day after Halloween is called? All Saints Day. That's a mockery. So what it's telling you is to honor evil and then go and the next day be a saint. That's religion. So even Halloween is a religious holiday. That's why they bring it to the church and say, well, instead of having Halloween, they having trick or something, trick or something, I don't even know. But they bring it right into the church. That's because of religion. It has nothing to do with what we're thinking. But it has everything to do with the nation. And because what it is doing, it is to dismantle the nation, that the name of Israel be remembered no more. What they want to do is they want to make you believe that the people that's living in the land over there but those are not Israel. Those are people practice Judaism. They practice what Israel did, Judaism. You don't understand this thing. We don't understand it because now because just because I'm Israel does not mean I deny the death, the burial, and the resurrection of the Most High, because I don't. As a matter of fact, I honor it as a nation, the nation that he came to. That's what I do. I'm not here to dismantle. I'm here to awaken us, to alert us of who we really are. You are a nation. And you are not a nation by religion. This is not religion. This is not a set of rules and rituals of do's and don'ts. This is a standard of living for the nation, just like any other nation, whether it be Cuba, whether it be Mexico, whether it be Ethiopia. I don't care. Every nation has a standard of living. Israel has a standard of living. Why is it that they would take the standard of living, which is perfect? God gave us perfection and tell us it's done away with. I don't understand it. So I need help to understand why. And now that you have someone and several people that are trying to tell us, and instead of us listening to hear what the Spirit is speaking to the church, which is the bride, Israel, still Israel, you got to hear me. The bride of Christ, Israel, then why is it that you don't want to open your ears to hear? Why is it that you are rejecting who you really are? Why is it that and why is it that we don't want to do it as a nation? But we're quick to jump with the man that tells you that it is okay to celebrate Christmas. It is okay for a man to tell you that the people in Israel, and a man that looks like us to tell us that the people in Israel is the true Israel. That is someone who has not studied the scriptures enough to even understand the spiritual Israel. Because when God gave it to us, he gave it to us spiritually. That's why it is a standard of living. That's why it is a standard of living. And the reason we keep it the way we keep it is because he says, listen, let me go back. He says that the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, but he chose you more. But because, verse 8, but because the Lord loved you. God gave us this because he loved us. God gave it. I hear you right there, my friend, I hear you right there. God gave it to us because he loved us. That's why he gave it to us. Why would you deny the gift that God gave to us? Why would we allow someone to take away the gift? And I'll tell you why. Because we became so accustomed to stopping what God has for us. We are more interested in what football team is winning, who's the next, what's the next shoes. We're more interested, and this is sad right here, because what they've done was they took the wisdom of a nation that God gave to the men of the nation, because when God gave the Constitution to the nation, he gave it to the men. Just like in America. When America got to its Constitution, was the American Constitution written with women? No. It was written only with men. God gave the Constitution to men. But what we've done is we've allowed this land to take the Constitution of God, the wisdom of the men, and turn it into the education of a woman, therefore denying the man his wisdom. Because look at what it says, that it is your wisdom. This is very serious. Rashid, this is a very serious thing that has happened to us because we are not willing to do it God's way. And I want to say this. I want to say this really, really loud. I'm going to do a video on it real soon. The wisdom of a man supersedes the education of a woman. The wisdom of a man supersedes the education of the woman. In our community, the most educated person in our community is the woman. They do that to minimize the wisdom of the man. And because society promotes it above wisdom, what happens is our nation suffers because the man is not using his wisdom that God gave him to bring us out because her education is promoted above the man. This is why she thinks that because she's educated that she supersedes the man. And that's because our land puts more emphasis on the education over the wisdom of God. This is very serious. And so this is why you have so many that want to be educated, because the education it seems like in our land it supersedes wisdom. But wisdom, according to the Bible, which is a perfect book, has no errors, it's inerrant, says that it is our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of nations. Who stand before nations? Who stand on behalf of a nation before nations? Men do, not women. So if it's going to be our wisdom before other nations, the men got to be the wisdom. The men got to be in the front. We got to get out of this Willie Lynch type syndrome where the woman is in front of the man in Israel. We got to get out of the fact of knowing of the woman being the head of the household. No, the man is the head of the household. But she is only there because the man is put behind her. And this is a problem because we have allowed the educational system to minimize your wisdom. But I want to speak to the brothers that your wisdom that God gave you is not minimized by education, because it is the wisdom. Listen to what the Bible says. Meditate on the book of the law day and night, observe to do all that is written therein, and you will make your own way prosperous and have good success. Well, what do you mean? That means that when you talk to yourself about the law, the standards, I'm going to say the standard, the Constitution, because when we think of the law, we think of bondage. That's what we think of. But actually, the law of God is freedom. So I'm going to call it the Constitution because we say the American Constitution makes America the freest nation on earth. I'm going to tell you the Israel Constitution makes Israel the biggest, the freest nation on earth. How do men show their wisdom within a community and the family? That's a great question, Sister Patricia. The Bible says that the way we show it is we teach the Constitution of the Lord. It's in the book that I wrote. How men show who they are, their wisdom. And this is why God chose David. He chose David because David said, the Bible says that he had a heart after God. What is God's heart? His law, the Constitution, his standards. That's God's heart towards the people. So if men really want to stand up and reclaim who we really are, we got to get back to the law of God. We got to get back to the standards of God, which is his law, which is his heart. And we got to start teaching it in our homes, in our communities, in our cities, on our blocks. We got to start teaching it just like when we come on this live 3 times a week. We got to start doing it in our own cities. We got to start doing this in our own homes. And I'm going to tell you something, man. You're going to come up against fights because the one thing about Israel, the one thing about when you begin to be directly connected to God, you're going to aggravate religious demons. Those religious demons will be aggravated because they want to hold on to the darkness, the chaosness, the maliciousness. They want to hold on to the whoredom, to the side. They want to hold on to that because when you stand up for those standards of God as a nation, what happens is you begin to arrest things that don't sit well in the kingdom of God. And so what that does is it aggravates those spirits. And when it aggravates those spirits, baby, it's gonna bring trouble. It's gonna bring trouble in the man's home. It's gonna bring trouble on your job. It's gonna bring trouble. This is why the people didn't want Israel. Do y'all know that's why they wanted Baal to curse Israel? Was because of the standards that God gave them? And so what religion don't want is religion don't want you to have the standards of God. And don't forget, y'all, I'm live on YouTube at the same time as I'm speaking. And so if you miss something, you can always go back to YouTube, and the channel is Unc is Talking on YouTube. Same thing. So if you miss something here, you can get it there. But as we're waking us up as a nation, not as religion, even you got to hear me, even on the day of Pentecost, that was a national holiday. You got to hear me. When Peter talked in Acts, that was a national holiday. That's why he didn't say women and men. He said men and brethren. Men and brethren. He was speaking to a nation. But because of religion, we turned it into Pentecostalism. I'm Pentecostal. And then we turned the law of God into what we call holiness. And that was all made up. Because most of the people that call themselves holy have never read the law. They don't know. They don't understand the law. And so, and then we took the tithe and we turned it to your local church or to your little denomination. And because the tithe was so that because there's not supposed to be anybody impoverished among us. That's what this is all about. But when we don't understand it, we miss it. And we miss it because of religion. And because of religion, it has caused us to not get what God has. But I come to wake us up. I come for those that are already woke to let you know that you're not crazy. To let you know that you are on track. To let you know that, yes, I never thought it was religion. I never accepted it. I began to read and everything began to give me questions that preachers couldn't answer. Oh, there we go. Stand up. Thank you, Norris. Well, stand up and show thyself a straight a man. These are facts. That's what we got to do. Yeah, I can turn my volume up on YouTube. I certainly can. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. Let me know if that turned up anymore. Thank you, Brother Kenny. I should have turned it up. Is that better? And you can put your comments on YouTube too. I can see them over there as well. But as a nation, that's who we really are. I want to encourage us to really begin to look at that you belong. You are a nation, not a religious group. And the thing about the Hebrews and the Israelites now is it seems more like a religion. Nations don't need to fight with religion. Yeah, y'all hear me? When Balaam wanted to curse Israel, he couldn't because of the standards. Because of the standards. And see, the thing about it, y'all, if we can get it God's way, if we can begin to do it how God says to do it, he says to do it, then I promise you that they can't even win. They can't even fight us. There is no battle that can beat you because the Bible says that the battle is not yours. It is the Lord's. And if the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. That's because we're doing it God's way. They can try, but it won't work. He says that you could drink deadly poison. It won't do nothing to you. Y'all got to understand me. So when we're talking about all of the different shots and all the different things that they're trying to do to stop Israel, when Israel began to do it God's way, which they know we're going to do, how do I know? Because in the Bible it says that the plot is to cause Israel to be remembered no more. So that we are so far away from who we really are, we don't even have a desire to get back to who we really are. That's what religion done. This is why it is so hard for people to grasp the concept of Israel. This is why it's so important. This is why it is so hard. Because we don't want to do it God's way. And the only reason we don't want to do it God's way is because religion has told us you don't have to. But I come to tell you, as a nation, we do. Not as a religion. Let's make sure you understand that. Not as a religion. And then tonight, let's talk about who the enemy is. For the Bible tells us that the enemy is the one who sold you and bought you. That's your enemy. So we got to identify the enemy, not to fight, so we'll know who he is. So we would know who he is. And I'm going to tell you. How many famous women do you know bought slaves and sold slaves? It was the men selling the slaves and buying the slaves. You know why? Because it is men that go in and dismantle nations. So, but in our nation, or according to religion, our women are to stand up on behalf of the men. I'm going to say it loud. Women, understand, your education is great. We love it. We need it. But the wisdom of the man is what's going to deliver the nation. Hear me clearly. Use your education to promote the man. Use your education to promote, to get on the team of the man. Israel, we're battling with our women, the men against the women. Let's become one. Let's show the world that our women can stand down and let the man lead. Men, stop standing down and stand up and be seen, be heard. You got to hear me. You're right. We did have the most successful. But something happened. Religion, it was still churning. This thing has been going on for years. And it's almost like now we're at the head's end because everyone is mad with everyone. Thank you, Nashville. Because this is sad because we don't understand who we are. And men, we got to stand up and really begin to vocalize who. But I'm going to tell you, read the law. Now, the book of Deuteronomy is the law repeated. This is Moses going over the law again to a group of people, to the younger people who were not there when God gave it to them the first time. So now Moses is reiterating the law, and he's putting the value on the law, and he's explaining things in the law. So if you want to get it quickly, you can start in Deuteronomy. But it actually starts in Exodus. Genesis is just set up to give it to a nation. And so, and like I said earlier, what makes us that nation is the holy days, the standard of living. So the first thing we got to do is we got to remember the holy days. We got to remember the Sabbath day. That's first. Because the Sabbath day is what denotes us as holy. Y'all got to hear me. And see, the thing about it, when we start keeping the holy days, we're going to affect the nation financially. You know why? Because there's three things that we're not supposed to do on the holy days, on the Sabbath day. What are that? What are those three things? We're not supposed to cook. We're not supposed to spend money. Can you imagine if Israel didn't spend any money on just one day out the week? Just imagine what that would do. That would really upset some people because the money is not flowing like it's supposed to. And the third thing we're not supposed to do is we're not supposed to work. So if Israel didn't work, I don't care whether you work at Walmart or Sam's Club or anywhere else, I got to be off on the Sabbath day. If all of us did it, ain't nothing they can do about it. They would have to close the store. See, now you don't have to listen to other pastors that are telling you that we're going to go against Target and Walmart because they support DEI and all that. Forget all that stuff. It's Israel that's the nation, y'all. So if Israel were to begin to understand that all we got to do is keep the Sabbath day, just the Sabbath day. Don't cook, don't work, don't spend money. That means that the gas company going to suffer, the electric company going to suffer, your light bill going to go down because you're not cooking on that day. You know what I'm saying? You prepare for do you know that Israel prepared for the Sabbath day? So they spent their whole week preparing for the Sabbath day so that they didn't do none of this. And so what we're doing now is we're beginning to enact a nation. Someone asked me, well, how do we start? I thank you for that, God. Somebody asked me that on the last time I was on here, which would have been Sunday. Well, what do we do from here? This is how we do it. We begin to keep the Sabbath day, the seventh day of the week, which has not changed. Let's not get into the rhetoric of battling of what is the Sabbath day. No, every one of us know the seventh day of the week is Saturday. Everybody in the whole world know that the seventh day of the week is Saturday. We're not going to get into the moons and the new moons. And there is new moons and there is dances for the new moons. We call them shouting in churches and stuff like that. But we're not even going to get into that. We're going to keep this thing simple. Let's remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Well, what are we going to do? Well, what does that mean? Don't work. Tell your boss I got to be off. Don't cook. And don't spend any money on the Sabbath day. Just the Sabbath day. Just one day a week. Just one. And then remember Passover. That would be our day for like Thanksgiving, when our families come together and we have a feast before the Lord. Dressed up. This is all in the law. Then he says the very next day is the Feast of Unleavened. So get all of the leaven stuff out of your house. Why? Because it is for your healing. You want to get rid of high blood pressure, diabetes. You want to get rid of heart disease. You want to get rid of cancer. You want to get rid of all of these things in our cities and in our communities. Keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's for the healing of the nation. You don't believe me, right? I'll prove it to you. Go with me over to Isaiah 58. I believe that's where I want to go. Isaiah 58. I'm going to prove it to you. Isaiah 58. Watch this. Let's go. Verse number 5. Is it not such a fast I have chosen for you, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? It is a season of repentance as well. Will thou call this a fast? An acceptable day of the Lord? It's an acceptable day of the Lord. Is it not the fast I have chosen for you, to loose the bands of wickedness? What? These are all the things that happens. But they'll tell us that we're supposed to go on a fast January 1st to January 21st and do a Daniel fast. God said, I didn't tell you to do that. God didn't tell us to do that. Let's do it God's way. I keep saying it. We must do it God's way. He says that to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, so that the man can get his foot off of your neck, and to let the oppressed go free. Y'all understand these things. When we do it God's way, things has to change. And this is the nation. These are not holy days for you religious people. These are national holidays for a nation. It says, and to break every yoke. This is how it happens. This is how the chains get broken. The sister wrote a song, break every chain, break every chain. Let's do it God's way if you want the chains to really be broken. If you're just playing, keep singing and don't do it. That's on you, because it works. It says that is it not to deal thy bread unto the hungry? So when we go on the Feast of Unleavened, what the money that we save during that time, we're supposed to give that to people who are hungry. God has a plan. He has a master plan, and it's perfect. Is it not that thou bring the poor that are cast out of thy house? Will thou see thy naked that thou not cover him? We should be giving food, giving clothes away. All of these things should be happening during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. He says, then shalt thou break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily. I just showed you how to be healed. I just showed us all how to get off medications. Can you understand that if black people stop taking prescription medicine, by the way, which is witchcraft, because it is pharmakia, you got its portions being mixed up to control certain things going on in your body. He says that thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thine righteousness shall go before thee. And so because we're doing it, because the word righteous means in right standing with God. So when we do it God's way as Israel, we're in right standing, which means that the connection has been reestablished. Oh, this is what we got to do. But when we don't want to do it God's way, what we're listening to is we're listening to religion. This is where you get your tele-evangelist that's getting on TV and telling you to boycott this and boycott that. Let's just do it God's way. Because if we did it God's way, the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath. The last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath. So what do we do on the Sabbath? Don't work, don't spend money, and we don't cook. Don't work, don't spend money, and we don't cook. That will affect the nation. If we did that just on the 52 Saturdays that we get on their calendar, just that will make them change a whole lot of laws. Make them change a whole lot of things. If we just did just that. If we could just get just those things. 52 Saturdays. Remember the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The first day is a holy day, or a holy day, and the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a holy day. Remember Pentecost. Well, what's Pentecost? Pentecost, God didn't consider it was a national holy day before the Lord, but it wasn't a Sabbath. Now, if Pentecost fell on a Sabbath, then it was a Sabbath. The next time you hear that is the Day of Atonement. The Bible says that it is a Sabbath unto the Lord. That is a full day of full fast unto the Lord. And that is so that you afflict your soul before the Lord. That's the Day of Atonement. That's the day of a repentance. That's where we cover ourselves in sackcloth and ashes and all of these things. Because by that I mean, I don't mean physically put ashes on your head and walk around in a sackcloth. What I mean is a spirit of humility, humbleness before the Lord. As you're recognizing that He has delivered you from all that could have hurt you. That's what atonement is. And then don't let me get to the Feast of Tabernacles, because the Feast of Tabernacles is 7 full days of we don't spend no money. 7 full days of we don't work. 7 full days of not only we don't work, we don't spend no money, but also of we're not cooking on our stoves in our house. Now everything is done outside. So now we're using wood from the trees. How much does that cost you? A little bit of labor. Put your tent up, sleep outside. So you're not now you're burning the fire and you're going to sleep on time. You're not staying up all night long. And that's for a whole week. Can you imagine what would happen if Israel in America just kept the holy days? If we would just keep the holy days as Israel in America, man, the whole thing, 1 year, everything would change. Just off of the holy days. Just the holy days by themselves. Nothing else. You don't have to do a march. You don't have to walk around and march. You don't have to yell. You don't have to do none of that. Just keep the holy days. And you will affect every area. You will affect the hospitals. You will affect the banking system. You will affect the stores. You will affect the church. You will affect every entity that has been trying to deny you of who you really are. That's what you will do. If we would just do it God's way. Now, that could be hard, and I'm going to tell you why it's hard. Because Israel, for some reason, we can't seem to grasp the concept. It's hard. And the reason it's hard is because we don't trust God. Even though we go to church and we say we have faith, but you really don't have faith. Because we don't even understand what faith is, first of all. Faith is worked by love. So if faith is worked by love, that is faith. Faith is worked by love. Now faith is. So faith is always in the moment of now. So if now faith is, and faith is worked by love, the love that we have is, God says that if you love me, you will keep. So now the love is, do I love God enough to trust? So if His word says, remember the holy days, do you trust Him enough to remember them and keep them? To not cook, to not work, and to not spend money. Do you trust Him enough to know that it is going to work out? Do you trust that? The problem is we don't. Because what we've allowed religion to do is turn faith into believing God for things instead of trusting God because of what He said. So what we've done is we've allowed religion to change faith into a carnal perception of reality. Well, what do you mean, preacher, when you say that? What I'm telling us is that carnal perception is believing God for stuff, a house, a car, a wife, money, a bill to be paid. If you want your bill to be paid, remember the Sabbath. That's why he says that if you meditate on this book of the law, observe to do all that is written therein, then you will make your own way prosperous and have good success. Then you will make your own way prosperous and have good success. So now, the problem now is really, really simple. The problem is really, really simple. We must come together as a nation. Because, see, if I keep the Sabbath, just me and my family, that's one thing. But if my family and your family kept the Sabbath, and their family kept the Sabbath, and we taught it to one another, guess what would happen? In 1 year's time, we could change the whole direction of this nation just off of doing it God's way. And it's not hard. All it takes is a mind, a heart, and a will, which is the same thing. But if we're not willing to do it God's way, we'll never get it. And because now, when we're doing it God's way, we're not only are we going to help we change the direction of things, but now our single mothers will be dealt with. Our single fathers will be our fatherless will be dealt with. Our poverty issues will be dealt with. Because now in your community, this is what's happening. Instead of us giving all of the tithe money to 1,500 different churches in a county, now the tithe money is coming to the nation that's represented within the county. And so now the county, listen now, because the county is the community. So that county now, with all of Israel in there, and they're all putting their 10% in that county. Guess what happens? Now that county has enough money, because I don't know what's going on, but all I can tell you is $12.7 billion goes into the church every year. The average family that gives to church is $683 per month. I don't know how many black families in your community. You don't know how many in mine. But if that's the average, and it's right at 200,000 people live in my city, which is 54% black, that's Israel. And all of them families giving $683 a month towards the nation that's represented in that county. In 1 year, we got a grocery store. In 2 years, we got a hospital. In 3 years, we got a bank. In 4 years, we got schools. In 5 years, we got everything we need, and there is no poor among us. We can get rid of it, community by community. But we got to be willing to do it God's way. Our biggest issue is the church or religion, I'm not going to say the church, religion has messed us up because religion has taken the tithe to a local church. And now the only reason people give tithe is if the pastor has to preach what is conducive to what they want. Don't talk about me because I got 4 kids by 4 different daddies. Don't talk about me because I got 15 baby mamas. Don't talk about me because I'm interested in men, or I'm interested in just women, or I'm a homemonger, or I'm an adult. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about none of that. And so what we do is we find churches that fits our narrative. That's religion. But I'm not here to fit your narrative. Matter of fact, I can care less about how you feel. I don't care about how you feel, because that your feelings don't matter to me. What matters to me the most is that we come back together as a nation. Because if we can get that right, then my grandkids can have something to look forward to. Your kids, your grandkids, your legacy is being moved. When we understand that we are not here to try to go against God, we're here to be on the team of the Lord. That's why the writer says, whose report will you believe? Are you going to trust God enough to believe that what he says in his law is the standard for you? Are you going to believe that? Are you going to stick to it? Because his law is the standard of living. It is your holiness. It is your righteousness. It is your wisdom. It is your understanding. It is your perfection. Are you going to trust that enough to believe that? Yeah, women, we need you to be educated. And I thank God for your education. But don't let your education supersede the wisdom of the man. When they hear me say that sometimes, they tell me that I'm afraid of educated women. I'm not. I'm not. Trust me. I just see that what the society has done, it wants to dumb down the wisdom of the man. Because when you read the law and you look at who I was talking to, he was talking to the men. He told the men to teach their women, to teach their daughters, to teach their sons. He was telling the men to do that. That's why when Peter came out on the day of Pentecost, he said men and brethren. He didn't say women and children. He said men and brethren. He was talking to the masculine one, the one that represents Elohim, the masculine one, the authoritative one, the one who stands on behalf of the nation. Let's do it God's way. Let's let our women understand, not from a condescending way, fellas. Sometimes it's hard because they don't understand and they take it as an attack. I understand that, but it's really not an attack. And sometimes you got to be a little authoritative to make them realize the importance of it. It's like the house on fire. I'm not coming in being nice to get you out the house. I'm coming to snatch you out because your life is on the line. And that's what's happening to Israel now. We got to be willing to do it God's way. We got to be willing to bring it back to who we are. We got to be willing to bring back things to us. What about our community gardens? What about planting in the springtime? Most of us don't even know that. We boast about having acreages of land, but where the gardens at? Because the garden is what's going to bring forth the stores. Because we need fresh vegetables. We listen, y'all. We need to get back to doing it God's way. We got to get back to doing it God's way because the objective of, super rare, the objective of it all is God's way. I read it to you today that you're going to be identified as the nation either way. Whether you're blessed or cursed, you're still identified as the nation. This is how we're identifying ourselves now, according to Deuteronomy 28, where it says you will be taken by ships again. And your enemy, I'm going to tell y'all something. Your brother is not your enemy. Your brother is not your enemy. Men, begin to encourage one another. Show each other that you are not my enemy. We don't need to be having turf wars in the same nation. That's a discombobulated nation. That's religion. Your church pastor better than my church pastor. My church pastor better than your church. That's religion. We're not getting to that. That's where the gang wars come from because we're so divided spiritually. That's why we're fighting against each other because spiritually we're disconnected. We got to get back together as one nation under God, indivisible. That's where they got that from. They got that from Israel and added to this nation's constitution. That's where the tax come from. It came from Israel. Y'all don't understand this stuff. But we're going to get it, though. We're going to get it, and we're going to get it God's way. I thank God for everybody today, y'all. I done talked for over an hour. Seems like I ain't even took a breath. But I thank God for everybody. Let's do it God's way, y'all. Let's do it God's way. Let me read a chapter in my book. Got to read you a chapter before I go. I don't know what chapter I'm on. I lost my place. It ain't that many. Oh, here we go. I stopped in the middle of one. I was in chapter 3, and I stopped in chapter 3. Chapter 3 in my book is called Chapter 3, The Awakening of the Lost Nation. Go and buy this on Amazon. And it says, the wisdom of the law. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Now, in here, it talks about the value of the law in this particular chapter. But I had got down to the laws that guide everyday life. This is where I had got down to. And it says, the laws that guide, let's break down the laws that govern the categories that touch daily living. This isn't the full 613, but it is the simplified guide to show how real life obedience begins. Laws of worship and honor. I kept saying that today. Keep the Sabbath. Keep the Sabbath. Why should we keep the Sabbath? Why is it so important? It points to God, not to man. It points to God, not to man. I'll hold it up again. The awakening of the lost nation. The awakening of the lost nation. The awakening of the lost nation. Keep the Sabbath. The Sabbath points to the nation, to God. That is the connection. It does not point to man. Sunday points to man. The Sabbath day points to God. Honor the name of the Most High. Honor his name. Hallowed be thy name. Serve no other gods. What is serving other gods? Serving other gods would be birth control. Any form of birth control is idol worship. Because you must understand that what is the God machine? Anybody know what the God machine is? The God machine. What is the Most High's machine? What does a machine do? A machine produces a product. What is God's machine? Does anybody know? Somebody put in the comments that's been on here for a while. Tell me, what is the God's machine? I'm going to wait because I want to see if anybody can remember what the God machine is. People. People doing what? Man and woman coming together is the God machine. Thank you for that, y'all. People. Man and woman coming together is the machine that God uses to get people here. So any form of birth control, any form, whether it be tubes tied, whether it be anything that we do to stop children, you're fighting God. That's serious. That's idol worship. God considers that as idol worship. Observe the feast days. What are the feast days? I'm going to give them to you. Passover, unleavened bread, Pentecost, the feast of trumpets, the day of atonement, and the feast of tabernacles. All of those point to God, a nation. These are not religious days. These are national holidays. Do not use enchantments or witchcraft. What is witchcraft and enchantments? The Sabbath, the Sabbath day. I didn't forget, but the Sabbath day. I said it first up there, Sister Janice. But yeah, thank you for putting that up there. How do we apply the worship laws? Rest on the Sabbath day. No work, no buying or selling, no cooking. Gather if possible. Keep the name of the Most High sacred in your words. Study and prepare for the feast days. Passover and tabernacles. Laws between brothers and sisters. Don't lie and gossip. Don't hate your brother in your heart. Do not steal or deal falsely. Show kindness to the poor and the fatherless. Use just weights and measurements. Application. Speak truth. No backbiting or betrayal. Be fair in business. No cheating, no hidden fees, no scams. Practice patience, forgiveness with our own people. The law gave us perfection. Laws for family. Honor your father and your mother. Do not commit adultery. That word adultery, quit trying to mix stuff together that don't belong. Do not have sexual relations outside of marriage. That's whoredom and harlotry. Teach your children the commandments. Teach it to them. Husbands love and lead in righteousness. Wives support in honor. Application. Strengthen families through commitment and order. Raise children to know their heritage and God's laws. The Constitution. Build relationships on covenant, not confusion. Dietary laws. Impurity. Do not eat unclean animals. You want to know where that's at? That's found in Leviticus chapter number 11. No pork, shellfish, or scavengers. Do not consume blood. We don't eat rare meat. We don't eat medium rare. We don't eat nothing with the blood in it because the blood is the life. We don't eat no animal life. Practice bodily cleanliness. Wash your tail. Take a bath. Clean yourself up. That's Israel. Application. Check the ingredients on that stuff before you buy it. Don't just buy it. Look at what they put in it. Avoid foods that harm the body and break the covenant. Keep hygiene, cleanliness, a daily habit, physical and spiritual. It's sad we got to talk about this, but God put it in the law because it's for perfection. It's for holiness. It's for righteousness. Laws of justice and leadership. Do not accept bribes. Appoint righteous leaders. Do not oppress the poor or the strangers. Rebuke with love, not cruelty. Remember, I just said that. Always seek restoration, not revenge. Because the battle is not yours, it is the Lord's. Hold the leaders accountable to the law. So you got to know the law. The leader needs to know the law, but we got to hold the leaders accountable for the law because the leader's responsibility is to hold us accountable for the law. So everybody is being accountable to each other. That's why the Bible says iron sharpeneth iron. Build community councils and assemblies grounded in the Torah, studying the law of God. Instead of going to the NAACP meeting and your church meeting where we crowd the church out, let's begin to have community meetings and studying the Torah, the law of God. Let correction be a part of growth, not destruction. Let correction be a part of growth, not destruction. Small obedience builds a big nation. You don't have to know all 613 laws in one day, but every commandment you obey adds a brick to the rebuilding of the nation. I just gave it to us. If we would just start with just our national holidays, what are they? Keeping the Sabbath. And all of the other ones, which is Passover, unleavened bread, Pentecost, Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. Teach your kids the commandments. That's a brick. Keeping the Sabbath, that's a brick. Keeping the national holy days, that's a brick. Refusing to lie, steal, or eat unclean animals, that's a brick. Just by doing that, we are affecting the nation. Why? Because it is our wisdom and our understanding. Each step matters. No one is too small or too new to start walking this path. No one is too small or too new to start walking this path. The law is for the scattered. The law is for the scattered and the gathered. Even though we're not in our land yet, we can still live as a nation in exile, just like Daniel, Esther, and the apostles did. They kept the laws, even under foreign rule. They tell me, well, we're not in Israel. We can't do Israel laws. Yes, we can. You go to the Indian store, they keep in their country rules. You go to a lot of the Chinese man, the Japanese man, everybody keeping their country standards, even in America. But they say we can't. They keep the laws. They kept the laws even under foreign rule, and their obedience brought protection, favor, and power. Blessed are they that do His commandments, that they might have a right to the tree of life. So all we got to do, right where we are, is start now. That's all we got to do. We are not waiting to become a nation. We are already a nation. I'm telling you, we are already a nation. We just got to get it back together, our Constitution, which is the 613 laws, that they turned into a religion and gave it back to us in Christianity and told the nation you're dismantled. The laws are no more. That's not true. Teaching the next generation. If we don't pass the law to our children, the awakening will stop with us. So what we got to do is we got to keep teaching this, regardless men and women. We got to teach it to each other. We got to teach it to the children. We got to teach it and teach it and teach it. And you shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house. When we're in the house, we need to be talking about the law. They're going to get tired of it, but keep talking. They're not going to want to hear it, but keep talking. They're going to get mad with you, but keep talking. Just don't shut up. This is more important than their attitude, their little feelings, their little emotions. men and women, if you're getting this in your spirit, keep talking. And start with the basics. What's the basics? The Sabbath day and the holy days. These are the basics. The Ten Commandments, the Sabbath day, clean foods, respect, order, and truth. Who they are as Israelites. Tell your children they are Israelites. Tell your women they are Israelites. Tell your men they are Israelites. Not from a religious place. I'm afraid that if we keep going down this trajectory of fighting, the Israel's fighting Christianity, it's going to remain religious. I would love to speak to some of my ICIU brothers to understand, don't fight with Christianity. Just keep going for the nation. It's a nation. It's not a religion. Don't fight them because that's what they do. That's not the battle is not yours. It is the Lord's. Keep speaking on the street corners. Keep pulling the men in. Keep pulling them together as a nation. Because as we become a nation again, our voice will be heard louder and louder again. Living the law is a weapon. In the world full of confusion, depression, violence, and deception, the law of God is our protection. It guards our minds, it shields our spirits, and it keeps us walking upright. It gives clarity when the world is confusion. It's confusing. It gives peace when life is chaotic. It gives light when everything is darkness. Obedience is power, and that power is our inheritance. It's our inheritance. Obedience is our inheritance. Take your inheritance and run with it. When we obey, we walk in ancient paths. We connect with our ancestors. We rise as a holy nation. That means that we're connected to the Most High as a nation. Today, I want you to reflect on these three questions. In what ways is the law your wisdom? Think about it. How does obedience change your thinking and life? What laws from the Torah could transform our community today? I'm going to give you the answer to that. If we would just keep the holy days, it'll change our communities today. Sabbath day, Saturday. Remember, don't work, don't cook, and don't spend money. Don't work, don't cook, and don't spend money. When we start getting that momentum start going, but if things are going to change quickly. Because anything that affects the finances of the nation, you get attention quick. Let's do it God's way. Next time I come on, and these last 15 minutes, y'all, I just been reading from The Awakening of the Lost Nation, the book. You can buy it on Amazon. I'm going to encourage us to let's become that nation again. Remember, seek the kingdom. What is the kingdom of God? It is peace, joy, and righteousness in the Holy Ghost, in God, in the Spirit of God. Let's do it God's way. Follow peace with all men, holy without no man shall see the Lord. What is the kingdom? I just told you, peace, joy, and righteousness. Let's do it God's way. We got a couple minutes here. Does anybody want to come on and say something? Anybody got any questions today? Anybody got anything they want to say? If not, I thank God for everybody joining in today. I thank you for all of the hearts and the comments. Thank God for everybody today. I thank God for you. We will be back on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. We'll be back again on Sunday between 3 and 5. I try to put it right there because I'm in between. But I want you guys to keep coming. I thank God for you. Let's do it. Let's become that nation again. Let's become that nation again. Let's become that nation again. Yeah, that's my son. He gave us a jingle for us to talking. Hope you like it. That's my son there. He was playing. I thank God for it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up.
book, The Awakening of the Lost Nation. It's on Amazon. Thank you for that, Brother Kenny. Thank you, Sister Brandy. Kenny, you trying to come on right now, man? Okay. Thank you, buddy. Hey, y'all have a very blessed evening. I'm out.